Hey everybody. So for my application, I chose to do a weekend flight searching app. I actually took a web application course previous to this, and we were using Web2Py. So I actually have a working version out there that's done in Web2Py. So I kind of chose to rewrite that here with Angular. And this really came out of a need of mine to be able to search weekend flight dates for multiple destinations looking multiple months forward. So I'll just start and get into it. You have the ability to choose your departure day of the week. You're always going to return on a Sunday. So I'll choose Thursday. You can pick the number of months you want to look forward. So let's do 2. Pick your departure airport. So here, I actually use this library called ng2 completer, and that's what allows you to do this autocomplete. And I actually have a node server running in the background which serves up a JSON file of 3-letter airport codes, which I can show everybody in the code later. So you choose your departure airport, and then let's choose Los Angeles as our arrival. So what this will do is show you from Thursday to Sunday for 2 months, about 2 months looking forward, what the prices will be with Skyscanner's API, the cheapest prices from O'Hare to Los Angeles. So I used high charts to display the data. They give you some really nice tooling, like this hover over, and the ability to click into these data points as a function, and then I can return the data. I dynamically build the URLs based on whatever the user input, and then I return. They just have a set page that you can kind of do the tail end of this with your departure, arrival, departure date, return date. So I think that was showing around $99. Skyscanner's API works on a daily cache of whatever's cheapest, so it's likely to change throughout the day. So you can keep adding destinations. So if I wanted to compare San Francisco against Los Angeles, I can see here and what the difference is. In the tooltip, I actually tried to order them the way you'd see it on the screen. So you get 209 against 134 for December 1st. These are the same. 134 against 99. And then I can keep adding arrivals as I want to compare. So if you have a lot of flexibility in traveling, you don't really care where you want to go, but you want to go somewhere, that's pretty nice. And you can also change around these number of months looking forward. So this will refresh your data. You'll see I got my random function isn't working quite as I wanted to. Getting similar colors. There we go. So you can compare JFK against San Francisco against Los Angeles, and high charts gives you some really cool flexibility in just picking your line. So if I want to compare San Francisco against JFK, I kind of toggle this on and off. I could just compare New York against San Francisco prices. So it kind of gives you a better gauge of what things are looking like. And I added a bunch of functionality as far as adding and removing arrival airports. It'll update the chart. Pretty much the same thing as toggling these on and off. And you can change your days. So if I want to leave on a Wednesday, it'll update that. So again, each point represents a Wednesday to Sunday flight, and what the cheapest price that they've seen Skyscanner throughout one day today. So it's a pretty interesting way to view some of this data. and flight prices are always interesting. So I actually did limited routing, and I'm kind of kicking myself about it, but a bulk of this time was spent trying to figure out how to display this data, and I did a complete rewrite from the stuff I was working on in class for the homeworks. So the only route that I have is really an about page, and that doesn't really show you much, but I'll dig into some of the code here. So a lot of the work is done in this main search component. In here I have a lot of things that control what I'm showing for days of the week for the radio buttons, the number of months for the radio buttons. If you update a day or a month, it'll change that value here in the component. And as you add departure airports and arrival airports, that happens down here. So it checks if it's going to be a destination airport, and then it adds values to a list, and then I display that here in the HTML. So I loop over the destinations, and I'll show the airport name that's got a check mark, and then the remove icon calls another function when you click it to remove itself. So the main call is done to the API here. I was needing to use this fork join, which I'm still not 100% sure if it's the best way to do it, but what I was running into is issues with the tooltips. So as I was looking through here, the tooltips allow you to click into this node and get you the flight price, and I was getting some really weird data, I think because of the asynchronous calls. In my service, the data service that calls this Skyscanner API, it has to do a request for every departure airport, arrival airport, departure date, and return date. So I could potentially have 20 or 30 different calls for each weekend. Or for each request, because it's doing each weekend. So I was getting some really weird return data, and it actually wasn't showing me for multiple destinations like complete sets of data. Like San Francisco might cut off like here because it wasn't waiting to do all the requests, and it was just returning what it had at that point in time. So I found that using the fork join, I was able to throw the data into a variable, a list, and then push the data onto that list after it does the JSON pget. So after that, I just return the data to my main search component, and then I loop over the response objects and add these into flight objects that I created, something called a flight list class. That's kind of what holds those random colors that are showing on the graph, and it allows you to add flights. I'll need to get a unique set of destinations from the set of requests that I have to loop through. So I also have a function in there, and then this update series data and refresh series data is what happens when you're changing some of the features on the screen. It's updating a JSON object, which is then shown up here. And these are all the custom options for high charts. So you have the high charts title, the x-axis, the tooltip, which shows the destination airport and then the link, which allows you to click in and go into Skyscanner's webpage to actually see real prices to be able to purchase those flights. So I also have that airport service, which is just a local node server running at that location. So I think the actual server's somewhere in here. There we go. So it just has one get request. There it is. And it'll return this airports.json file, which is source app airports.json, and then this is what allows me to get the autocomplete data. So as you start typing, you'll be able to see ORD or SFO, LAX as you start typing, and you don't have to actually type it in yourself. So that's the majority of the code. I have a header component which kind of serves up the navigation, the about component, which is that about page. The search results component was a little tricky, not super complex, but I needed to allow myself to pass data from the main search component to the search results component and then display that data into this chart, which is what you see there. So that's a majority of it. It was a ton of fun to work on, and I just have so many other ideas to add on to this, so I'm excited that we were able to learn all this stuff, and it was great working with you guys, and it was an awesome class, professor, so thanks for everything. Bye.